All right, with the NBA playoffs in full swing, I know y'all are out there trying to get your money up, placing your bets, getting your parlays together on your favorite betting app. We love it, and here at Late Night Lake Show, we want to make it easier for you to discuss and share your sports bets, and that is with our new sponsor, Sharps. Look no further than the social network for sports bettors. With Sharp, you can connect with friends, see what they're betting on, and even interact with their bets. The iOS app connects to all major sports books and daily fantasy platforms like DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, and Prize Picks, which is already a friend of Late Night Lake Show. Here's the best part. If you download Sharps now and use our promo code, you'll receive access to the community to start showing off your betting chops and an opportunity to compare your bets with us, baby. So what are you waiting for? Download Sharps today and use our promo code and start connecting with other sports bettors. Don't forget to share your winning strategies and interact with other users' bets. Join the social network for sports bettors and take your betting game to the next level. Good luck.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to a new episode of the Late Night Lake Show podcast powered by Prize Picks. It is your boys, Ricky and Jody. Jody, what's going on, brother? I haven't talked to you in the studio in a minute. How you been?
What up, though, man? Just chilling, you know, same shit, slow motion, trying to get through the day, getting ready for this holiday weekend, extra day off. So, you know, shit is good on this side, man. How you living?
We in Cancun now, so I guess the tropical drinks and the feet in the sands and, you know, getting my tan lines in. I can't complain, right? I can't complain because we're watching the Boston Celtics put up a fight.
I really don't want this to happen.
Different circumstances because they are the 2 seed, right? And the Lakers were the 7 seeds. Both teams went down 3-0. Well, hell, by the time you guys are listening to this, we will hopefully know the fate of the Boston Celtics, and everybody's gearing up for Heat and the Nuggets. But if not, it's going to be looking like a game. It'll be game 7 on Wednesday. So let's just hope Jimmy Buckets, Bam, everybody, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, everybody. They just have a wonderful weekend down there in South.
I'm not asking Jimmy for another week or another month. Can you give me one more day?
Well, one day. Because I don't care what you do in the finals, Jimmy. Like we gonna support you regardless, right? Like, but just take care of business right now. That's a championship for us, right? As Lakers fans, we will say Jimmy Butler won a ring by defeating the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So,
to quote a great American philosopher, Pat Riley. Or no, it wasn't Pat Riley who said it. It was who was Paul Westhead? Was that the coach? Phil Westhead from he was like, fuck Boston.
Oh yeah, Westhead,
Westhead, yeah. On what was it? On Winning Time, it was like
Showtime.
Fuck Boston.
Yeah, Winning Time.
Fuck Boston.
Yep.
So we definitely need them to take that L.
Got to. We don't ask for much on vacation. We're not supposed to ask for much. But what we will do is sit back, and Jody and I are going to start peeling through some of the top news of the offseason. If you guys haven't already, make sure you are following Jody. He just helped conduct a great interview with Dwight Howard in our post-game spaces. That's pinned to our Twitter profile. We should have a write-up on that at latenightLakeshow.com here coming through the weekend. Dwight, I mean, you tell me, Jody, how was your first experience interviewing an NBA player and a character like Dwight Howard?
Right. It was pretty cool, man. It was funny because it was super, super late. It was like 3 a.m. And I don't think that was the end of the series. I think that's the game when we lost when we were down 3-0, if I remember correctly. And then we ended up losing. We ended up getting swept the night after that, or the 2 nights after that. So it was a good interview, but it's funny because I remember exactly where I was watching Dwight get drafted when he got drafted in 2004.
Damn.
And I remember because I spent a little time in Atlanta when I was younger too. And I remember his AAU team back in the day because they were so good. I remember everybody talking about, man, y'all got to go see they were called the Atlanta Celtics back then, but you know, and their names weren't what they were now, you know what I mean? So it was just like, man, you got to go see this team. And we would just try to catch up and try to see them at like the runs where all of the AAU games will be played or whatever. And they looked huge. They were like just a great team. And come to find out, obviously, a lot of their players end up being, great players and did great things. So I had already had backstory on Dwight. And it's funny, he was on this Special Forces show that came on in January on Fox.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was watching that with my kids, me and my daughter and my oldest son. So we were just like they know who he is, not as a basketball player, but as a person that was on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So getting to
How
talk to
was
him,
that show real quick? Was that, I feel like it was like, Fear Factor, but for crazy, Marine
right.
stuff.
It was cool. It was interesting to see. They were definitely funny. It was kind of like the kids were super into it. As an adult, you can kind of see the little goofy shit that they were like the little host or the drill sergeants was on. They was definitely kind of fucking with Dwight a little bit, but it was definitely cool. So when I woke up the next morning and told my son that I was getting to talk to Dwight last night, he was like, "What? You got to talk to Dwight Howard, the dude that was on TV?" So yeah, it was pretty cool, man. But I think Dwight could tell that I kind of had respect for him, that I, knew about his history. So I felt like it made him give. I don't know if he was going to give thoughtful answers, but I definitely felt like he gave us thoughtful answers and was open to it. So I thought that was good. And I was looking forward to it. I think he enjoyed himself. I felt like everybody pretty much enjoyed it. And it's funny. I wish I would have had more time to think of more questions, because I definitely wanted to ask him about his time in Houston.
Yep.
It was definitely some other things anecdotally about the game that I wanted to ask him about, as far as like adjustments what he would think about certain adjustments I felt like they could have made that we didn't try. And him being a big man, I would like to see what he felt about how effective those could have been, because we didn't do that in what I was thinking about as far as adjustments we didn't do in 2020, because we had the personnel to not have to do those things. So I definitely wish I would have got more time, because Stace, she had just DM me and she was just like, "I got Dwight coming up. Can you just stay on just to make sure you can help moderate?" And at first,
Right.
I'm like, "Who's she talking about, Dwight?" I'm like, "Dwight who?"
Right.
Because I didn't think it was going to be Dwight Howard, but then when she said it was Dwight Howard, I was like, "Oh, okay, I can definitely stay on." And he ended up coming through. He was actually in the spaces for a minute before he actually jumped on the speaker panel. So for a second, I thought, damn, he's not even gonna say nothing. He's just gonna listen for a while. But he definitely
You
came on.
see?
We had a good ass convo, man.
Future Hall of Famers just waiting to get their opinions off in the late night Lake Show spaces. So I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
I woke up, I was 2 dreams in, and it's funny because you were on the East Coast and I'm in Chicagoland. But this is why we have a team for moments like this.
Yes,
And I wake
sir.
up, they said, she had let me know that she was working on the Dwight interview. And it's funny you mentioned that, Jody. We're gonna have him on the pod here this summer. So we'll make sure you're available for that, and then you can get
Please
all of them
do.
Houston Rockets adjustments and combos going through. Yeah, I have a laundry list of questions I have for Dwight. I was in high school. No, I was in college when the Lakers traded for Dwight Howard. So, um, was able to form a lot of opinions, and probably a lot of them were under the influence of some tequila or bourbon or something at the time. But in any event, that's just a little foreshadowing for everybody to know that we are continuing to pump out that good content this summer. It is the off season, but we will not be taking a lot of time off. So continue to stay tapped in with us. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcast. We are working to get to 1,000 subs on YouTube. I'm gonna keep talking about it until we have it, and then I'm gonna start talking about 2,000, and then 9,000, and then 1,000,000. That's just how it's gonna go. So please
Yes,
hit that like button, subscribe to the show. Make sure you are tapped into us wherever you get that hashtag good content. But without further ado, let's talk Lakers off season, Jody. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room, and I'm happy you were able to hop on so close to when LeBron made his comments about retirement, because it is it would be a big moment in your life, man, as a lifelong LeBron supporter, LeBron lifer. LeBron retiring would be the end, right, of an era in the NBA that we will never see again. I had to
for
go through it
sure.
with Bean, right? I had to sit through that with Kobe, and now wake up the next day and be like, damn, my GOAT is gone, bro. What am I going to do? And then you appreciate other things about the game. But yeah, man, what'd you think of LeBron's retirement talks? And yeah, how'd that land for you?
I mean, I understand it. It's like it's weird because it's literally the first time he ever really said anything about, damn, I might seriously could be considering retirement. But all things considered, I can understand him saying that in that moment. I know it's a lot of speculation that he's trying to say that to deflect off of the Lakers being swept or anything like that, which I don't necessarily buy that. I think people would attribute that to, of course, me being a fan of LeBron. So what else am I gonna say, right? But
Right.
um, like I think you can have a negative opinion of LeBron, a moderate opinion of LeBron, or no opinion of LeBron. Of course, they'll say, "Oh, you're a LeBron fan," so of course you would say that. But all things considered, it was reported when he hurt his foot in Dallas when we came back from a 27-point deficit. By the way, I just want to say that.
Right.
And then after Bron hurt his foot, he still played old man ball, finished the game, and we ended up getting that win, which was obviously vital to our playoff hopes. But um, when you clearly hurt your foot, because obviously LeBron was not the same player post Dallas game that he was like his birthday game in January or December against the Hawks of last year. Basically,
Mhm.
like they're not the same players now. That doesn't mean that he's not effective. And I'm not one of the people that would blame this loss on the foot because I think he was good enough for them to get a win. I think he was good enough for them to win the series if we would have gotten a better overall team effort. But knowing that your foot is hurt, knowing that now that the season is over and it's all done, the reality hits of what's going to be next. You got a son that's about to graduate high school and go into college. That's a 5-star recruit. Um, you got to go through surgery, most likely, and then recovery, and then ramp up, and then get back into shape to play NBA basketball in your 21st season.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be surprised that a guy who's played 20 years, not including Olympics, which he played, if I remember correctly, either 3 or 4.
I know 3
To
for sure.
3 for sure. It may be 4, but I could be wrong. But it's probably 3. Where you like, bro, I don't want to do this shit no more. Like I'm damn near over this shit. Like how many times have you been trying to do something and you be mad? And you're like, you know what, bro, fuck this. Like how many times you been playing 2K for hours and some goofy shit? I'd be like, man, fuck this game. I ain't playing no more. And
Right.
then a day or two later, you like, let me hop back on the game and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like that happens. That happens all the time. So, do I think that he's going to retire? There's no chance he's going to retire this year. I could see him possibly retiring after season 21 or possibly after 22, depending on how everything goes. But LeBron James, arguably, whether you think he's the best player ever or the number 2 player ever, in my opinion, I think he's at the very least a top 3 player of all time. A top 3 player of all time is not about to leave the NBA without a farewell tour. That's just not about to happen. There's too much money to be made for the league for LeBron.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
That's a
like you
great
know what I'm
point.
saying? There's entirely too much money to be made. So what's being made of it is hilarious because people obviously know he's not going to retire. We was talking about that in the spaces after, and a few people were talking about, man, what if he leaves? And I'm just like, bro, there's no way in hell he's going to leave. Um, with AD still having years on his deal, with him still having years on his deal, like let alone not being done. LeBron is set to make like $47 million. Like
Right.
the rich don't get richer by giving up millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Like that don't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was much ado about nothing. I think it was a lot of frustration speaking, and it's just one of those things where you just like, bro, this shit is. I don't. Do I really need this shit? Type of deal. You know what I mean? So that's pretty
Yeah.
much what I chalk it up to. I don't think that he was saying it to deflect from them getting swept because it hasn't stopped the media from saying that they got swept. And whether you lose in 4 games, 5, 6, or 7, people were still gonna say, "Ah, you lost. Ah, they suck." Like it was gonna be the same no matter what. So whether you get swept um, or losing 5 or 6, it doesn't matter. That's the third time he's gotten swept. He got swept in the '07 finals, in the 2018 finals, and then the 2023 Western Conference Finals. Is not like he lost to just some bumfuck team in Charlotte. You know what I'm
What
saying?
I'm
Like
saying.
Like they
Yeah.
literally lost to a guy who probably should be a 3-time MVP by now. Like,
Has a
what are
great
we
case for it.
like, what are we talking about? He lost to a team that's going to be in the finals. He got swept by 2 teams that won championships, and it stands to reason he might get swept by another team that's losing the championship. So, I mean, they didn't get blown out in any of the games. Most of the games were either within a possession or 2 or 3 possessions. So, those are the ones that that hurt the most, in my opinion. So, I mean, I don't think it takes away from it because people still gonna talk about it. So, I don't get that angle. But it's always something when it comes to LeBron.
Always some when it comes to LeBron. I mean, there's the most baseline of response I think someone would have when hearing LeBron, taking everything into consideration of what he's done, how many years he's been in the league, is, well, he's just being honest, right? Like, isn't this what every great player does after going through a tough playoff series at the end of their career? They have to ask, do I still want this shit? Do I want to go through the grind of this again? And when you've seen and gotten to the mountaintop 4 times, have seen the mountaintop 9 times, right? It's just like, it's an honesty time, right? You got folks that be doing like, 18-wheelers cross country for a living, right? 20 years, they'll be doing that job. Pays great, right? You get to get your license and you off and running. 20 years later, there's another route you got to do. You go through it, you go into a snowstorm, you hit a thunderstorm, you get a tornado, you still persevere and get the package delivered. But at the end of that trip, you're like, God damn, I don't know how many more times I'm interested in doing this shit. That's where LeBron James is at. And I can only find humor in the folks that talk about, Jody, that LeBron did that to deflect away from the sweep and did that so the attention now is on him and not the Denver Nuggets. Well, whose fucking fault is that? That the attention's not on the Denver Nuggets. Y'all go talk about the Denver Nuggets, please. Here at Late Night Late Show, we're going to continue to talk about the Lakers, and we can talk about LeBron James' retirement. Y'all don't have to. Suns fans, you don't have to. Warriors fans, you don't have to. They got LeBron on the mind 24/7, man. Like, go talk about Jamal Murray tearing up his leg, and years later is now playing at an elite level again and can be your starting 2 guard on a championship winning team. Go talk about that. Don't go talk to and tell me how fine his girlfriend is. I don't give a shit. If y'all are truly interested in having basketball conversations, motherfuckers talk about basketball, man. Y'all want to talk about everything else under the sun except for the teams that are in the dance right now. Just grow up. Leave LeBron alone.
And that's hilarious because people were talking about Jamal Murray's girlfriend when he just shot 50, 40, 90 in the Western Conference Finals. It's like, what are we like? But people mad talking about, oh, LeBron's trying to deflect because he don't want nobody to talk about the Nuggets. LeBron doesn't control what the media talks about. They can choose to talk about whatever they want to. For whatever reason, they talk about the Lakers, and there's a good reason for that. Because the Lakers are more compelling, whether they win or lose. It's nobody's fault. That's the way the cookie crumbles, and people hate it. It's almost like people just like raging against the machine, but it's not.
They do. They love it. They die without LeBron. They die without the Lakers, man. They die without someone to hate. It's sad. It's sad. You know what I did, Jody? When the Lakers got eliminated, you know how much basketball I really watched? About maybe a quarter, right? And I said it in the post-game spaces after the season was over. My TVs, as much as I would, I'll enjoy it when I'm with the buddies. We're going to throw in the finals. We're going to watch it, right? I'll have opinions about it. It won't move me emotionally like that, right? I can still enjoy the sport. But my life has been 90 Day Fiancé. My life has been Love After Lockup. My life has been all of those shows. Love is Blind. That's what my TVs have been on. We're about to run through Succession since it's the last season and it's wrapping up. So I'm a big binger, right? I don't like listening to shows, watching shows as new episodes are coming out. Finish
Right.
it. Let me blow through it. Let me get my opinions off all through one weekend, right? But I just don't have the time to sit here and get upset or talk about irrelevant shit that has nothing to do with the basketball team that I support. So please, a quick message from Late Night Lake Show. Guys, if you want LeBron to not be the focal point, stop talking about him.
The Late Night Lake Show podcast is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best legal way to play daily fantasy player props in states like California, New York, Texas, and more. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry. The best part is you can mix players from different sports. You could take the over on LeBron combined with the under on Mahomes in the same entry. Prize Picks is the easiest way to play daily fantasy because it's just you versus the projected numbers. Just use our promo code LNLS and any deposit you make can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. So go support the brand and go win you some money. It's the best of both worlds. Again, use our promo code LNLS.
Do I feel like the Lakers should have got one of those, at least one game? Absolutely. But, bro, sometimes the ball just don't bounce your way. There were multiple times where the Lakers were not getting what I felt like were 50-50 calls that would have been a difference. The Nuggets also made multiple heaves that were prayers of shots that just went in. Like, in game one, Jokic made a one-legged fadeaway 3 at a buzzer in the third quarter over AD, and I said, he's not going to hit that shit no more. He hit that same shot like 3 or 4 times. At that point, there's nothing that you can say. They caught a goaltending on AD in a game that was really a block. That's a possession right there. That could be the difference in the game, AD plays like a zombie in game 4. If he has even a slightly above average game, we win that game. That's the game. But people are obsessed trying to clown LeBron when he was the one who played 48 of 48 minutes on a—
Say it again. Every second
of the game, he was on the floor on a literal compromised leg. And the supposed to be superstar who we've been saying is supposed to be his team is getting spurts where he's showing less energy than a guy who was on ESPN talking like me and you right now. So, it was a less than stellar performance all around. LeBron certainly could have been better because you could make an argument they lost multiple games based off of decisions that he made as far as shot attempts. 3-point attempts outside of game 4, his shooting wasn't great. I mean, his shooting from 3 was bad really in game 1 and 2. In games 3 and 4 at home, he was 3 of 8, I think, in game 3, and I think like 4 of 7 in game 4. So, he shot well from beyond the arc in games 3 and 4. It was just those games 1 and 2 that were really the backbreaker. So I really put this on Brian and AD. You need your stars to win you games in the Western Conference Finals. You can't depend on, role players, and they didn't make it. So I get why people, want to talk about LeBron didn't get the job done. He didn't do enough. And the truth is he could have did more. He could have been better with his decision-making, but he's not the only player on the court, So, I mean,
right.
I get it, but, people always got to have an anti-Bron angle. So whatever angle that is, that's the one they take. And especially it's amplified now that he's a Laker. That's like multiplier times 10, basically, because the Lakers are like the evil machine, and you got to rage against the machine no matter what. So, it comes with the territory. So it really don't bother me too much. And, you just take it with a grain of salt. But you can't have that and then also want the accolades of how great it is when they actually win. You know what I mean? So you just got to
they'll cut that too. They'll do both.
For sure.
They'll do both, Jody. And I think we'll probably just keep this a LeBron focused episode. We got plenty of time this summer. We can roll out one topic
for sure
at a time per week, right? But I think, and I want to get your thoughts about some of the rumblings around what LeBron wants in support, right, to continue to play. I just want to reiterate that there is a torn tendon in his foot that he played through, right? If you watched pre torn tendon in foot LeBron, you would still believe that this man has a lot to give this game of basketball. He was hitting reverse windmills. Now, he kind of jagged it in the playoffs when he went for it, but that was still pre and post foot injury. Now, at this stage in your career, he's not Wolverine anymore. Each injury takes a little bit every single time, right?
Yeah.
Hell, I'm 30, 31. Anytime I get banged up, it lasts just a little bit longer than it used to, right? But I think LeBron James, in review of this season, how he personally played, where the team got to, with all things considering his injury and AD's injury, the roster reconstruction midway through the year, he's probably looking at this like, we're not too far off, but there are some pretty specific things that I no longer want to continue to do and be looked at to do night in and night out. When LeBron says he wants to play basketball at a very high level for a very long time, to me, that kind of signaled off he just wants more help, right? And I know everybody wants to shit on LeBron about always wanting help, but damn, at what point can the old man say that he wants help and it's not a slash at his career, right? If we're truly wanting to see this man compete on the biggest stage, then at this point in his career, he's going to need a few more soldiers around him. Do you think, Jody, the answer to that really is a superstar, ball handling, 3-level scoring player that's in their prime right now? Or do you subscribe to the fact that healthy 39-year-old LeBron, healthy and engaged Anthony Davis, plus the depth that the Lakers have brought in this during the season and can retain if they choose to do so going into next season, do you think that's enough?
It's hard to say because you don't know how the rest of the West is going to look, because it's going to be some teams are going to be shaken up as far as what their teams are going to look like. I can see it from both angles. I don't, like I said, I think there is no way, at least as of right now, from what's available, the Lakers aren't going to get to the promised land. And he was better than average, but his highs were high and his lows were very, very low.
Bro, I feel like everyone tap dances around it. And as the number one Anthony Davis, plea copper, defender, right? I simply want to ask the question, do we feel Anthony Davis, from what we've seen and with the injuries, is at that level where we can feel confident that him plus LeBron is a good enough duo to win a championship? It's not 2020, right? Rosters are different. LeBron is older. Does that combination still work today? And I feel like everybody, when we see it on the timeline, right, Jody, they don't want to address that specifically. I don't think this is a LeBron James question. It's a question about, after 3 seasons later, what we've seen from Anthony Davis, is he at that level right now where he is number one and LeBron fades to the background? I don't know that answer.
If you ask me, I'm going to say it's two-sided. It could be yes and it could be no. I think that answer involves coaching as far as what their offense is going to look like and what's going to be the focal point, because it's clear what we were asking of Anthony Davis offensively is not something he's capable of, but that doesn't mean that he's not capable of putting up big scoring outputs. So honestly, I feel like in theory, if all things around them are good, then I would say yes. I think it's more so not get a LeBron more help situation. I think it's really a get Anthony Davis more help situation.
And I like that angle.
And LeBron, it feels like LeBron, just because he's the most consistent player in all 3 series this season, this playoffs, who was the leading scorer? It wasn't Anthony Davis. It was LeBron James. Oddly enough, in all 3 playoff series, he was the leading scorer in all 3 rounds. And
that's the problem. I think we agree.
That's the problem. You're not going to go where you want to if your best player is 30, 38, 39. Like, that's not – you just not in the NBA. The teams are too good. The best players on other teams are too young. They're too spry. they're too chomping at the bit to get their pound of flesh to be able to say, I knocked this dude off.
Yep.
It's the same thing that Dylan Brooks wanted to say when he said, I want to play the Lakers. I want to be able to say, I beat LeBron. Everybody is going to want to do that. And so I think it's more so about getting somebody that can help maximize Anthony Davis offensively without having to have AD do it on his own. So, like, that's why I don't necessarily know if what's being reported, what the media is trying to kind of stir up again, which would be basically Kyrie Irving saga part 3.
Part 3, straight up. Yeah.
Part 3. Like, at this point, it's exhausting. So it's tough because it's not much out there. And in 2020, it was kind of, the truth of the matter is he had a better LeBron, and then also he had a Rajon Rondo who he had already played with before. So he was able to trust Rondo's word as far as Rondo talking to him about the game, what he sees, what he thinks he should do. And then also he had a better version of LeBron that was able to make the 4-5 or the 1-4 pick and roll even better, because this year it was a 4-5 pick and roll. In 2020, it was a 1-4 pick and roll, basically. And that's a little bit different as far as how matchups are going to go and how people are going to defend it. Because, of course, Bron played point guard in 2020.
Yeah.
He was our power forward this year, pretty much. So it's a completely different matchup. It's a completely different dynamic of how it actually goes on the court. And if you notice, they didn't really go to the Bron pick and roll, the Bron AD pick and roll that often, as much as they did in 2020 compared to this year. So I was looking at what's available. Kyrie Irving he's not a guy that you're going to depend on to kind of get other players involved, namely, in this case, Anthony Davis. He's not a guy that's going to just continually make it easy for AD to get his. That's not how his game is. Fred VanVleet is another guy that's a all-star capable guard that's going to be available, but I don't know if he's also that guy that can maximize a Anthony Davis and get him easy buckets, because what I want is for them to have an offense to where it's not dependent on getting the ball through AD. I'd rather AD get his in transition, get his off the glass, get his out of the pick and roll as far as being a lob threat. But AD's lob threat is not going to be as devastating if he doesn't set screens as hard as he needs to, and he doesn't set screens super hard. So that takes away some of the lethalness of the actual pick and roll. And so honestly, D'Lo is probably the best option that we'll have at our disposal to maximize what we can possibly get from Anthony Davis because of how good he can work out of the pick and roll. And what's out there besides Anthony Davis, Patrick Beverly. Tried that, didn't work. Russell Westbrook. Tried that, didn't work. Now, Russell Westbrook can get the best out of Anthony Davis, but he's not coming back to the Lakers. That's not going to happen based off of
hilarious.
So we can scrap that. Dennis Schroeder is a free agent. So I feel like they can possibly bring Dennis back, but he's not a guy that's going to get AD that's going to look to get AD his money. As far as easy buckets around the rim, that's just not the type of game that he plays. Gabe Vincent from the Heat he's not that type of guy.
He's gonna get a nice little paycheck though too. So exactly.
So that's not the options out there. People are saying, we don't want D'Lo back, but both sides, the Lakers and D'Lo, in my opinion, are in a position to where they might have to just stick with each other and
it would make sense.
And roll the dice another year. And what I would love, but he's going to be on an expiring next year, is if we was able to somehow get our hands on Tyus Jones. That would make me feel very good about possibly trying to maximize AD and what Tyus Jones is able to do as far as getting his guys the ball at a high rate without hindering the offense as far as turning over the ball. He's a plus 37% shooter from three-point land, so you still get the spacing aspect, even though he's a small guard. But D'Lo is 6'4". He can work out of the pick and roll. He can shoot at a high clip in theory, not always in application.
Right.
And like AD is just at a point where he's going to need somebody to maximize him. And LeBron is at the point where he's not trying to be on the ball, pounding the air out of the balls to get somebody else off when he can just work, get his 6 to 8 points in transition, get his 6 to 8 points out of the post. A three here or there, you got 24 points, get some free throws, you got 24 to 25 points right there. So it's easy for LeBron to get his. So he's
Right.
like, I don't need to be on the ball. Austin can be a point guard, but I don't necessarily know if Austin is going to be the type of guy that's going to be able to get AD going and get him easy bucket after easy bucket.
Right.
So the Lakers are in a tough position as far as getting somebody that can maximize Anthony Davis, whereas Rondo, he can get AD the ball in any circumstance. And then also, if you remember, his shooting was not bad in the playoffs in 2020.
Rondo was oddly a good 3-point shooter, which they had points in time with the Lakers. And I remember I was in Utah watching Lakers Jazz, and these guys next to me were just talking about like, oh yeah, Rondo shoot the three, and I was like, you sure about that? Like Rajon Rondo definitely, him, Dwight Howard, they changed the Lakers fans' view of them forever. That
Correct.
run that they had in the purple and gold, that changed a lot. So yeah, but we can't get those names back. That's not going to change us today, Jay.
Yeah, not walking through that door.
Your point, which is well taken, even on the other side with D'Lo, I believe there's only maybe a handful of teams that have cap space to just outright sign D'Angelo Russell. You go look at that list. You tell me which one of those teams would be in the D'Lo business, right? And so I think, the report today said that a max that D'Lo could sign would be 2 years, $67 million. That's not happening, right?
Right.
You hear earlier reports that technically, the Lakers could be interested in a 2-year, $40 million deal with D'Lo, make $20 million a year, and then hit free agency still in his prime. Maybe I think that makes sense as well. The sign and trade angles, right, that would hard cap teams around the league. I don't think any team is too interested in that, especially with taking on a player like D'Angelo Russell. That's not the team you get hard cap for. I'm just going to pause because that might have been a pause-worthy statement. I'm not sure. But in any event, I think that, when you look at it, they kind of might be in the same slow globe. And once you're done shaking up everything, the two that's still sitting there looking at each other. So in theory, D'Angelo Russell kind of fits that mold of a player that you would like. You saw it very early on, right, with a lot of his AD lobs and the pick and roll chemistry that they had. You would hope that continues to grow, especially in the off season together. And, D'Angelo Russell can find some familiarity and not be bouncing around every single summer. So I have high hopes for that connection if it were to happen. The playoffs, shit gets weird all the time, man. Players forget that they're basketball players at some points in the playoffs, the way that they're playing at times. So I won't hold it against D'Angelo, but I don't think that the Lakers are going to be overpaying for Russell, mostly because I don't think they're going to have much competition to re-signing him. So you never know. Maybe the Lakers can also bring back Schroeder to have some type of presence on the team. He wasn't bad. Another year where he's with the Lakers and, he made, $4 million this year? You can't argue with the production that he had and how much
not at all.
Coach Ham rode him straight into the ground. And I hope he has a successful Achilles rehab, or go back to Germany and get that blood spun up, or whatever he was referring to in his YouTube series. If you're not also up on it, go watch Dennis's YouTube vlog. I got yelled at and got called a hater because I made a joke about it. So I'm going to do a shout out to that. But regardless, Jody, let's wrap up here, man. Just a quick yes or no, and give your short reason why. LeBron James is going to play basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers opening day 2023.
Opening day, no. I do not think he's going to be there. I think he'll be there after the season starts, maybe 10 or 15 games into the season, so maybe a month and a half or something around there, just because I don't think he's going to get surgery immediately. I think he's going to wait however much time or whatever that is to get surgery. And then he's going to have to do
pull a
rehab.
Scotty. You're gonna pull a Scottie Pippen. He's
I don't,
gonna enjoy his summer and then get the surgery. Hey, I don't care what
I don't
LeBron
know.
does. To be honest, if he says he's coming back to the Lakers, I really don't give a shit if he waits until Christmas. As long as that he's committed and the Lakers can make the right moves around him. Because at the end of the day, we just need a healthy LeBron. But go ahead.
I think I don't know if it would be like in the same vein as Scotty, how he did, like how they showed that in the Last Dance documentary.
Right.
But I just don't know if he's gonna be ready by end of October, November for the start of the season to be ready to 100% ready to play NBA basketball. So if he is, that would be great. I completely expect him to play around the same amount of games he played this year, 55 to 60 games. So you got a 20% cushion. I think he's going to wait until he feels 100% healthy because he doesn't want to have another injury and then miss however much time, assuming he can stay healthy after that time. So opening day, it would be a pleasant surprise if he was able to play. But I would not be surprised if next year was his last year playing. I definitely would not be if he was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it one last run. And because I don't think LeBron will want to play and not be able to be considered elite, basically. Like he was all NBA, he was all NBA this year. So I don't think that he'll want to like linger around to the point where it's clear that he can no longer put up the same 25 plus like he averaged 29 this season. Even though he probably wished he didn't average that much, because usually if LeBron is averaging that much, they're probably not going to win. You want LeBron around a 24 to 25 point range. But opening day, I would say probably not. It would be a pleasant surprise if he was, but I would say probably by the middle of the season, by the middle of November, December time, he'll probably be back in and get back into the groove of things, and then try to go and see how that run is. I feel like this run took a lot out of him to be 8 wins away from a championship, and then not to get there. That just gotta hurt. That gotta suck, And I feel like he was probably like, damn, this was a gauntlet. It was exhausting, and he probably just didn't want to. Probably just like, man, do I want to keep doing this shit? But we'll see, man. It remains to be seen. And once the season goes, hopefully, we can get the production that we want out of them, and hopefully we get a motivated AD to kind of get this bad taste out of everybody's mouth, pause, about this playoff run, and just go from there and give it another shot. They didn't win a chip, but they got to the Western Conference Finals. That's pretty damn good, all things considering. To be one of the last 4 teams out of the playoffs, it's not necessarily nothing. It's not completely something, but it's not nothing either. So, it could go either way.
That's facts. I think, funny enough, Jay Williams, who's always good for saying some off-the-wall shit, was talking about how do you bring back LeBron from injury the way Austin Reeves is playing? How do you even fit him back into the starting rotation? And maybe Jay, he was just ahead of his time. Maybe he was looking into the crystal ball and saw opening night and Austin Reeves giving us 35, Rui giving us 30 and shit like that, and LeBron rehabbing and working his way back in. Maybe he was just literally 9 months too early on that point, because it was dumb as shit then, and it would be a blessing in the future if that was the case of conversation. So, the Lakers said that they're dedicated to bringing back their young guys, i.e. Austin, i.e. Rui. And what we saw from them this past, playoff run, even when we brought Austin to the starting lineup and brought Rui saving him from DC, it was evident that these boys have a role with the team franchise for years to come. Everybody talks about how the Lakers always emptying their cupboards for stars, we look up today and we got two nice pieces to continue to carry on the Lakers mystique, even when LeBron does decide to hang up those legendary shoes. So I agree. I think LeBron's going to take his time. Maybe not on the decision side. I'm sure he'll make a decision and then take his time telling, the people who don't matter, like us, right, his decision. But I'm sure he'll indicate to Jeannie and Rob and the rest of the Lakers organization what his intentions are. And then, when he comes back, we'll be just as excited, just like the day that he signed with the franchise. So LeBron, if nobody else tells your brother, we appreciate you and what you've done for Lakers Nation. We got one more run in us, though, bro. One more ride to go. Just like in Bad Boys for Life. Just one more, bro. Let's just run it back one more time and see where the chips fall. So until that point, we will be monitoring the draft, monitoring free agency, monitoring Summer League and the next young, great Lakers undrafted rookie that's going to be an all-star that other teams have to poach. We'll be holding out the fort then while you make up your mind, big bro. So I think that's going to do it for this episode of Late Night Lake Show. Jody, appreciate you hopping back in the studios, man. It's going to be a busy summer for us. Hope you had a good time, man. And just let the folks know where they can find you on the timeline.
Yeah, I had a good time too. It's always good to be back. But Jody McFly, just underscore between Jody and McFly. And I'm usually on your timeline talking shit, trying to make some sense or talking about life. So, we'll just keep it like that and we'll come back next time.
Yes, sir. Me and Jody got some fatherhood and some music stuff that we're gonna have to sprinkle into these episodes coming up. We got a lot of space to fill this summer, so you might get some alternate LS content from us.
I'd like that, man. That'll be cool. I think people would tap into that too. Music and talking about life and fatherhood and shit like that. That'll be tight, bro.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all be on the lookout for that as well. That'll do it for this episode of Late Night Lake Show podcast. Appreciate y'all rolling with us. As always, make sure you are tapped into us wherever you get that hashtag good content. We will see y'all on the timeline. For Jody, it's Ricky. We out.
Peace.
Peace.